All right, just came from the gun range, and now it's time to actually look at my firearm and actually service my firearm. All right, so one thing you always want to do is always want to make sure when you're cleaning your firearm, you have it pointed in a safe direction, okay? Have it on safety. I'm gonna have it pointed in a safe direction as I clear my firearm. And you always want to make sure that your firearm is clear once you are servicing your firearm or cleaning it. So once again, I'm gonna show you that it's actually clear. You can see right through it. It's actually clear, so I'm gonna hold it to the side, pull the side back, it's actually clear. You never wanna point the gun directly in your face. You could basically look down the barrel. You probably cannot see it from the camera point of view. Let me try to see if I could get, you could barely, you can't see it. So what I like to do is I like to look down the barrel. You could be able to see some type of light down the barrel, and you could basically pass something in front of it and you'll be able to see that it went dark. But actually you can see that is actually clear, no round in here, okay? Also, with the G2 Taurus, this is a little indicator. As you go, let me move it up. You probably cannot see the red, but nope, you can't see the red. It's like a little indicator, this lever right here, to let you know that it's a round in the chamber. But once again, it's mechanical issues could happen that this doesn't rise up, and you don't want it to always rely on that. So now that we know it's empty, I'm about to basically show you how to take it apart. All right, so let the slide back. There's a lever on this side. It's one right here, and it's one right here. Okay, you want to use your pointer finger and your thumb, and you want to pull these down at the same time, like this. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to move your slide back just a little bit like this. I found it a little bit easier to use my palm of my hand. Let me back out of the camera a little bit so you can see a little bit better. All right, you could back out yeah, backed out. Yeah, that's enough. Okay, so once again, let me go back, retract real quick. To separate or dismantle your firearm is one little lever right here, and there's one lever on the opposite side, right here and right here. All right, you want to use your thumb and your pointer finger and pull it down at the same time. But before you do that, you need to move your slide back. I would say about like right there, and I find it easier putting my hand on it like this. Okay, and then I do pull it down. Now you just open your hand real quick, your right hand. Okay, then you squeeze the trigger, and then it should slide right off just like that. All right, so now that we have that slid off, now we have our spring and our barrel. So you could just snap your spring out, you could pull your barrel out like that. So that's how we take apart the Taurus. Now we're going to get into cleaning it, and of course putting it back together. You will do it the opposite way. I will do that toward the end of the video. All right, as far as with cleaning, let's go over a couple of things as far as with cleaning your firearm. You want to make sure you clean this thing relatively good. According to the manufacturer, you want to clean the Taurus at least every 200 rounds. As you can see, I go old school. I use patches, okay? Use little patches, use a little toothbrush, all right? I got the old school hops that I use, and I'll be honest with you all. There's a lot of products out there that people use to clean firearms in several ways. I'm not suggesting you go out and spend a lot of money doing it, but so far this been being used. I haven't had no issues with that. You could also use toothpicks that can help you get in the little corners and stuff, and you can also use Q-tips. I don't advise using Q-tips because when you use Q-tips, it could put a little bit of lint all over the place. All right. Yeah, because once you use them toothpicks, I have tried it in the past, and I mean not toothpicks, I mean Q-tips. Use Q-tips they had actually left some, lint all on it. So I try to stay lint free. I'm using a microfiber towel to actually help me clean as well. And one day I might invest in one of them cleaning mats. And when I do, I will make a video on that. All right, so first things first, I got a clear container. And let me just show you this real quick, little quick tip. I put all my belongings in this clear container so that way I can have everything there for me. So when it's time for me to, put everything up, I put my my hops, my oil in a Ziploc bag so that way it won't, get all over the place. And of course, my patches are already in a Ziploc bag. All right, and I have this little storage container. Once again, you get these at Walmart, 4 in a pack for like $1 or something. So I put my hops in here, the cleaner solution. And reason for that is I only use a little, and I don't want to keep, recontaminating this bottle. So I want to continue to use clean solution every time I use. So I just pour a little in there, put the cap on, wipe my bottle off, make sure ain't nothing on the outside, because this stuff is very strong. And as you see, I'm wearing gloves. I bought these mechanic gloves. They're real good. They grip things a little bit better. And I use a regular toothbrush. They sell gun toothbrushes, but you get these toothbrushes from Walmart. This is a firm. I got like 6 of them for like $1, $1 or $2. And of course, toothpicks are relatively cheap. They got the metal ones, but I'd just rather use these. All right. So first things first, you want to just saturate everything that come in contact with this. Let me just use a patch and I could just show you how dirty this stuff could get. All right. After shooting this firearm, I'm just going to put a patch in here. As you can see, look how dirty that is. All right. Even inside, this part gets neglected. A lot of people do not clean inside of here, and look how dirty that is, So I keep my gun pretty much clean, but as just touching the dirt, I keep my guns pretty much clean. Can you overclean your gun? Yes. All right. Can't overclean your gun. All right. So this right here is the barrel. This is the ramp where the ammo go in. And as you can see, that's pretty dirty. So what I want to do is I take this, I'm going to dip my brush in there. And I want to try to get some all in here and just let it sit. All right. Just rub it all on here. And see, I'm recontaminating this, which is okay because I'm not going to reuse that again. All right. So I just get it all on here. And I'm using the microfiber towel. Okay. And yes, it's okay. And I'm going to show y'all another little trick that I do. It's another one. This is not so bad, so I'm not using my bore brush on the inside. But usually what I do is I take a plastic bag and I put my bore brush in there so this stuff won't be slinging all over the place when I'm cleaning it. And there's a lot of ways of how people clean their guns, but this is just the way I do it. Am I a professional? Nope. But do I know how to clean a gun? Yes. All right. So I'm pretty sure some people will give me, tips and advice on what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right. So, and with the toothbrush, I get all in here. So far, I'm just going to let it sit for a second, then scrub everything. So, and when I'm in back, can you and this is another thing. You see this right here? This is where your firing pin is. So you want to make sure you get that. Let me see if you could see that part, this little metal part right here. You want to make sure you get all that as clean as well. People may have, like I said, different views on how they clean their firearm and stuff. So me personally, I try to clean it to the best of my ability, and not clean it all the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, I keep it oiled, but I use it relatively a lot. So, and what I mean by use it a lot, I mean I dry fire it a lot with the eye target. So you just want to make sure you get all this stuff clean. And I'm just going to let it sit for a brief second, then go back everything. Alrighty. Now, as far as my spring, they said a lot of people don't clean their springs, but I clean mine. I've seen a couple of people, talk to a couple of people who don't clean their spring at all, and they say their gun works really fine. But me, I clean mine. And then what I do too is I push this down a little bit and get in there. All right. Stuff can get real nasty, everybody. That's why I wear gloves. All right. So now take my microfiber cloth, wipe my hands dry, and then you could use patches to clean all this. But me personally, whoa, see, there we go. Now that I got everything, just let everything sit, then I go back, put a little bit more in here, then I go to scrubbing. All right. Go back to what I originally started to clean first, and I just scrub it. I don't rub too hard, but just make sure I get everything, hopefully clean. You'll be able to start seeing some of the soot come off of it. So I put almost like 400 rounds through this one, and then you're gonna see, like, you can't really see it on camera, but like right in here, the little corner where some of the stuff is built up right here. So I just use the toothpick and just, rub some of that stuff out. It's like around the edges right here. So yeah, you gotta get all that stuff out of there. Because then when you don't get it out properly, you just wet it. And then when the powder hit it, it gets all gooky and all that stuff. So yeah, then I just go and take my cloth and clean it in real good. See, look at that. All right, how much came off of there. And what I like about the patches, truthfully, what I use the patches for is the cleaning. I use it as a cleaning inspector cloth. So I touch an area, and if there's no soot on the white cloth, it's like the white glove the military use, the white glove treatment. So yeah, and then you just want to make sure, once again, you use a lint-free microfiber cloth. All right. So yeah, make sure you get all this residue off. And then also too, you should be able to see it on your microfiber when you're wiping this stuff off as well. And these little parts in here, I just take the toothpick, just make sure I didn't rub anything in the corners. Just going over everything. As you can see, little soot right there. So what I would do is I would push this back in here and just go over it one more time. Just rubbing it. And then I would just re-wipe it. Now, it's two parts of the microfiber. Let me backtrack. You got one little raised edge, and you got one flat edge. I always use the back end, the flat edge. And then when parts like that, I like to use the raised edge, and that will help get in them little corners. And sometimes I will do is I take the toothpick, and I will use that to assist pushing in the corners. Yeah, you could buy the metal picks, don't get me wrong, but hey, you got toothpicks already in the house. Why, spend money on something you really don't need. All right, so that's that. So after I clean it, I'm gonna put it to the side. All right, and after I clean something, I like to, once again, wipe my hands and make sure you take the toothpick out. And then I just use another area of the, microfiber cloth. Now the barrel, I'm gonna wiping this off. Now on the inside, that's when I use the patches. Okay, let me make sure I take this, and I'm gonna scrub this. Okay, put a little bit more. Get some down in the barrel. Now wipe this off real good. I see something on here that I don't like, I just go back in, you know, just re-scrub it. No harm, no foul. And I like this on the back of the toothbrush. It has like a soft silicone on here that I could use that to help break up some hard debris. And it's non-abrasive, so it's not going to scratch the metal. Once again, they do have the metal bore thing, like a brass thing. I don't like using that. One barrel I had, I remember I scratched the mess out of it. And then even with the toothpick, you could take the tip of it and try to rub some of this soot off. All right, so we got that. Now the inside of the barrel, a little trick that I use, put this down like this. Now they have the patch. This is the end tip right here. Instead of using the bore, I use the end tip. Make sure it's screwed on there real good. And I take the patch, put it down the center like this, and I just push it straight through. And I don't pull it back out. I just push it straight through, and I take it out like this. I'm just gonna push it straight through because I don't want to recontaminate anything. And then I just pull it back out like that. And then I get another patch and do the same thing. People were like, oh, you're wasting patches. Okay, yeah, you waste patches. Another thing you could use is t-shirts. You could use them, let me put a little bit on here. You could use a little bit of the t-shirts. And then you could just, if you want, you could just go around the wall real slow and work your way around down. They got t-shirts you could buy. I know at the store, you could buy t-shirts. So it's almost clean. Or what you could do too is you could take the patch, pull it out, and then go on the other side like that. All right. So it's two sides to the patch. All right. And just the other side to this one. What's this side? Yep. And then since I know I dipped it in there, the last patch, last run, I'm not gonna push anything in there. Just basically like clean it out, basically. And that's pretty much it. Now I look on the inside to see if I see anything. I don't really see anything. You really can't see that on the camera. But what I do now, I wipe this off. Of course, anything that come in contact with it. Then I take this part off. And I use this one now to put my patch through, and I run it a couple of times. Now with a shotgun, I'll be real with you, using a snake is a little bit better and easier, and it cleans it well quicker. So with this one, what I do now, I'm gonna just take this and I'm gonna push it straight through. And voila, it came out clean. I'm gonna do one more. That was actually clean. Yeah, that was actually clean. And sometimes what I do too, I didn't mention, you could take this and I like to put it over the head part right here. And as I insert it, I push along the area. Now, what you don't want to do, I'm just exaggerating, you don't want to be going back and forth like this. You don't want to do that because you can actually leave something in there. If you look down the barrel, you should be able to see like some swirls, some rifling. You do not want anything caught in there. Actually, this is actually pretty much clean. So I'm gonna just take one more patch, since I did it as by demonstration. I'm gonna take this, And the last one, just push it through like that. All right, and just inspect the patch. Make sure ain't no dirt on it, which is not, or no residue. All right, so now that I got that done, put all my, stuff away on that side. Put this right here, and then I turn this over, and I'm gonna go start wiping this down. All right. So once again, I dip this in here a little bit, and I just go over it again, just to make sure that if anything, got dried up, that now it's not dried up anymore. Go over the spring, and I check actually my function on my spring. I don't know the pound of it, of how much. I just know the feeling of it just by by being my gun or firearm. I just know how if it's I could be able to pull it up so easy that it will be a problem. So I just check that as well. You always want to check your function of your firearm. All right, so now going to this part, and that's a little bit about, that's about much. I'm just going to rub this again, just to slide. You want to make sure you get that very, very well, because that's what come contact with the slide. I got to get these parts named actually down, what you call them. And then this part, when you pull the trigger, the lift, everything, you want to make sure you get all that clean. You don't want nothing in there. All right. And also too, the magazine holder, well, whatever you want to call it, you want to make sure that's actually cleaned out too. Another thing too, a lot of people don't clean out their magazine. You want to clean your magazines as well, people. So I take my toothpick now, and I like to make sure ain't nothing in there on my slide. Go on this side, make sure ain't nothing in there. Make sure ain't nothing on here. That's just me. Get all in these nicks and crannies. Alrighty. And just want to wipe everything as dry as possible. And then what I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the towel itself. I take this whole thing and I just push it all the way through and then pull it out. But I make sure I don't catch on to this. Come on. And sometimes when it doesn't want to act right, I take the toothbrush and I help push it all the way through like that. And I pull it out with my hand. And I make sure not to catch onto this. So what I do, I don't want to catch onto that. So I just put my finger right there and I just pull it like this. Make sure it doesn't catch on. Like I'm pulling down, I'm pulling downward. I'm pulling it all the way through. Making sure I don't catch anything. A lot of people are like, oh no, you're gonna rip something. Nope, I haven't did anything yet. All right, so I just make sure I got everything. Then go back, make sure ain't nothing in there. Good. Because you don't want to catch any debris. So I'm just making sure going on this, I always pick right in these little slots right here. You can't really see it. But I just, move this back, make sure I don't have nothing in there. That's the worst thing you could do, is have some debris in there and then it get caught. And now you in some serious trouble at the range or when you need to really use it. Okay. And I get right up in here. It's just, I'm very, very thorough with this, you all. So just bear with me. That's just me. That's how I am when it comes to cleaning these things. Gonna do it right. That's how I look at it. And even like right in there. And have multiple microfiber towels. So if one starts to get too dirty, use another one. So I put this right here, wrap this around like that. with the fork, you know, make sure I get in there. See, look at all that. All right. See, that's how this stuff gets real dirty. And some people be like, why are you doing that? You know, but hey, you want to clean as possible, right? Alrighty, so that looks pretty well done. So I'm gonna go back to this, and the firing pin, I just like to take a clean toothpick and I like to just stick that in there just gently and try to look at the tip to make sure ain't nothing, nothing is, messed up with that. So you can pull this little lever back right here and you can actually see the pin function. I'm looking at the pin function and it's functioning relatively well, and there's nothing in there. Okay, wish you could see that on camera, but you really can't. And I try to just get that as clean as possible. Wipe that one more time. Oh, that was a little bit dirty after pushing that back and forth. So let me just this part right quick, one more time. So me, I like everything clean. And yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So now that I have everything clean, now here comes what an oil is, and I just snagged my glove. All right. So people say you go over oil your firearm. Yes, I get that. But me, I like to lightly coat the outside of my firearm, then I wipe it dry. I coat the inside where my slice is going to go through. Where you run your slides. Let me just make sure this is completely dry. Still see some real. All right. So what I'm saying is right here, let me do this right here, and right here is where the slides on, okay? So I make sure I lube those, make sure I lube, the little bit right here, a little bit right here. The barrel, I lightly lube the whole barrel. Some people don't lube the inside, I just slightly lube the inside. And what I mean by slightly lube the inside, I slightly use it the same way with the spring. So what I do, I'm gonna I use one of these small patches. Take a little bit of oil, a little dab, boom. That's all I need right here. Boom, I rub it all over. All right, rub it all over. And a little bit of oil goes a long way. Trust me, you all on this, okay? You don't need to use a lot. And what I do is I just work it in, and then just let it sit. I just use basically a little drop, to be honest with y'all. Just use a little drop. All right, I take another one. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the patch. Let me just pop that off. Use a little patch. I could use a bigger one, but it might as well same with the small one. And I just put a little, not even a dab. Okay, I put a dab on there. And what I do is as I insert it, I just rotate it and work my way around till I come out. All right, that's it. Then I'm gonna take another patch and I'm just gonna run it through to get any excess out. And when I run it through, I'm gonna make sure that I cover the top. And it's a lot, like right there. So when it go through, and I'm gonna rotate it like this. I'm rotating it and I'm going slow, I'm not going fast. as it come out. All right. And I still also too, when I do this, I look at it to inspect to make sure ain't no dirt on there that was left over. Wasn't no dirt. All right. So you can still use the same cloth if it's not dirty to use it to lubricate. But what you don't want to do is oversaturate your patch. So me, I just probably, if I use it one or two times, that's the most I would use it. All right. So the spring, same way. I just rub the spring around the oil. Make sure that's lubed up real good. And when I mean by lubed up real good, I mean every last part is covered. I don't mean abundance of lubrication on it. All right, you don't want to put a lot of lube, too much lube on it, because the more oil you put on it, the soot and all that other stuff will get caught to it. And if you feel as though it's a little bit too much, I just lightly pat it. I don't rub it, I just pat it. All right, that's just with the spring for me. Now I did the barrel, we did the spring. Now we're going to lube this. So what I do is I take a little patch once again, a little dot on it, and I just lube everything. And it's just a light rub, everybody, light rub. This is not no heavy rubbing or anything like that. You're not trying to, put a whole bunch of, they use that Aquaphor type stuff. You don't want to use that much to get that much of a shine, but it is what it is. And it says also too metal, so you don't want things to rust. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lube all of this. And as you can see, the oil, you still see the oil. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep rubbing until I don't see no more oil. And also too, if you have long hair, just make sure that your hair doesn't get caught in this as well. So I'm rubbing all over this. And as you can see, this oil is still coating the outside of this. And the reason why I'm coating the outside of it, just say for instance something happened where I'm not able to even use my firearm, at least I already coated it for extensive or not being able to use it for a while. Because you don't want to if you don't use your firearm for a while, you do want to make sure that it's nicely oiled all over. All right. So let me put a little bit, use a different patch now. Go to this new one. A little less than a dab. Now it's actually too much. So when it's too much like that, what I do is I dot it in 3 different areas and then use the old patch and go back over it. So that way, I'm not putting so much on there. That's just me. There's other techniques out there. Once again, disclaimer, I'm not a professional. All right, I just know how to clean my own firearm. And I just make sure I get my ejector as well. All right. All right, so that's pretty much all real good. Hold on, let me. Okay. Then any excess buildup, what I do now, any excess buildup, I take a clean microfiber towel and I just lightly go over everything just to make sure I don't have no excess of buildup of oil. You don't want no excess buildup of oil. All right. All right, so now I got that. Now let's go to this part. Now I have the one that I just put on there. Now I'm just gonna grease this part, grease the little metal parts in here. Okay, use the other one. I know somebody want to rag me about my ripped glove, but it is what it is. And just make sure my ejector pop that off. This out of here. Some people don't oil none of that stuff, but I do. That's just me. I do every point of contact. And then inside my magazine well is too. I oil inside of that. But I'm not using a lot of lubrication. All right. I'm not, just using a tad bit. All right. So now that I have everything lubricated, I just make sure that my slide is actually good. I go over it one more time. I'm trying to push in there. Yep, make sure it's lubricated, because that's the part where it's metal on metal. All right, just a little bit. All right, so now a little trick. I put all my patches in the palm of my hand, and then I pull my glove off. That way I got it. Now you can break your toothpicks, put them in there as well. Now you got all your garbage in one little ball, as you can say. All right, so now with the extra of this, you could just either dispose of it properly, put it in a paper towel, soak it all up. I just don't put it in the same thing with my dishwater. Now, let me move this all out the way. We're gonna put it back together, okay? All right, putting your firearm back together is relatively the opposite way that you would put it, took it apart. If you ever took something apart, a quick tip is you will want to watch a video. All right, so what I usually do, I start off with my slide. You take your barrel, you put it right in here, okay? You push it down on an angle like this, come through this little hole right there, you put it down, then you slide it back up. Your firing pin, you have a point of contact your spring, you have a contact right here, and the fat end, you have two ends. You got the skinny end up here and the fat end. So you put the fat end right here, and it's a groove right here where you'll put this tip part at. You just set in there like that. Now, I'll be honest with you, mine is a little kind of loose. I'm gonna actually look into that, because actually I've been firing mine a little bit too much now that mine is loose, actually. Loose. Let me see if I can get a little bit more on my spring down like that. You want to center. All right, you can't see this, but what happened is when it's loose like that, look at my spring. Let me see if you get a better view. The spring is off center, so you want to center your spring. All right, by doing that. That will help when you put this in now. You can push it, and then now you don't have that issue when you push it in. All right, see, boom, it's like that, boom, no problem. All right. So then what you'll do next, the next step is, you see the four, you have two right here, two back here, and then this little opening right here. So what you'll want to do is I'm just holding the gun upside down. You'll just want to run it across till it meets the slides like that. Then just keep going down. And then now that you have it like that, you just want to pull it back like this, rack it one time, rack it again, make sure that it functions, and squeeze the trigger. Okay, so I'm gonna do it one more time. This is a functions check, all right? And then squeeze the trigger, all right? So I always check my safety, make sure my safety is working. Up and down, up, down. And then I put my magazine in, make sure the magazine works, drops out, rack it, I always rack it again. Make sure it goes all the way back with the magazine in it, okay? So now, take my magazine out. I'm going to Make sure it racks without the magazine, okay? This is my functions check, all right? So once again, I'm gonna put my magazine in. It should lock all the way to the back. It locks all the way to the back. Magazine release works. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do my mag release. So a lot of people don't like doing this because it slams down on the firing pin, but I do it one time just to make sure that this function actually really works. Okay, and it works. Okay, now squeeze the trigger. So put it on safety and allow my firearm is ready to be used again. All right.